sharing with you my 4th grade vocabulary center. The title of this center is called Let Your Garden Grow, and the theme is based off of growing your own garden of vocabulary. The vocabulary in this center is based off of National Geographic's Book of Nature Poetry, which is edited and compiled by Patrick Lewis, who is a former U.S. Poet Laureate for children. So this book is specifically for children. Now, I've also inserted vocabulary from Tennessee's 4th grade vocabulary, so it's the academic vocabulary. Now, since this center is vocabulary based, if I determine that the children need a change or they've already learned most of the words that are in the center, all I need to do is add a different vocabulary list. In the center, children will be heterogeneously divided. Now, each group has about 4 to 5 children, and I've planned for 5. So each group will have 1 to 2 high children, 2 middle children, and 1 low child. So each of the groups, if I determine that there needs to be a change based off of need, all of my indicators for which group are removable with Velcro, and they can be placed where they need to go. All of our activities need standards to go with curriculum. So if anybody comes into our classroom and wants to see what each activity is or what standards go with which activity, they can come look at our board, which has a description of each center and each standard that goes along with it. Now, each activity itself also has standards in it or on it. So my first center, you can find the standards on the back of the binder that go with this. This is less for the children, but more so for anybody who wants to come in and see what this is all about. Okay, so like I said, each vocabulary word can be changed if need, but I'm going to start with telling you about my first center. My first center is called It Is Time to Weed Our Garden. The point of this center is for children to look at a group of vocabulary words and determine which word does not belong. So before they start this activity, students will pull out a bag of weeds and a bag of fresh vegetables. So essentially, they'll be determining which of the 4 words are the weed. So, for example, on my first page, I have the words wither, drought, drench, and thirst. Out of these 4 words, the word that does not belong is the word drench, because this has to do with an excess amount of water. The rest have to do with the absence of water. So what the students will do is they'll take out 1 weed and 3 vegetables and Velcro on the weed or the vegetables where they belong. To assess children's work for this center, I have come up with a weed tracker. Each line has the letter that correlates to each page of vocabulary. The students will write which word they've selected as the weed, so in this case, A is drench, and they will give me a reason why they chose this word that is the weed. My second center is called Grow Your Vocabulary. So in this center, students are going to take out one of the 4 passages, which are taken directly from National Geographic's Book of Nature Poetry, and they will read through it. What they have with them is an expo marker. So when they're reading through it and they find a word that they aren't quite sure what the meaning is, they're going to write the word in their Grow Your Vocabulary tracker. And they have an expo marker so they can underline it or circle it or make note on it, and they can erase it and it's reusable. So on this worksheet, I came up with it, and they are going to write the word. They will put what they think the word means, so they're going to use their inferencing skills. They're going to write, and they're going to look up in the dictionary definition, the part of speech, a synonym and an antonym, and then they're going to create their own sentence. They'll complete as many words from one passage as they can until the center is over, or if they run out. So if I have a gifted child, I can have some extra passages prepared for them if they get done early, or a higher level passage. So this will also be the form of assessment for this center. My third center is called Farm to Table. So in this center, students are going to prepare a picnic. What they have in this basket are words that they're going to match to a definition and a form of speech. So the word is considered the dish. This is what they're going to make. They have to determine what ingredients go in this dish. Then they'll have the vegetables, which is the definition, and this is the ingredients. This is the substance of the dish. This is what it means. This is what is involved. Then they're going to put the part of speech on the plate as well. This is how it's delivered, so it's on forks. How you eat food, you use a fork to deliver it. So what students have are plates, and on the plate at the beginning, this is used as a game, so students will start a timer after they've handed out the plates to each group member, and they'll select a word from the word bag. Once they start the timer, students will go as fast as they can to match the definition and the part of speech. They're trying to prepare an entire picnic basket in as quickly as the time as they can. So to keep this in track improvement, students can do two things depending on where they're at. So the first page I have, after they've finished, if they have a word that they have not yet found the definition to, they're going to write it, they're going to identify the part of speech, and they're going to look up the definition. After the time has gone off, they will list the date for the group. This is my Red Radish group. And they will list the time that it took for them to complete that center, or if they were unable to complete that center, they will write the word. So my fourth vocabulary center is called the Farmer's Almanac of Vocabulary. So what children are going to do is they're going to complete their own compiled journal of vocabulary that they're learning. This will have helpful tips, this will have the history of the vocabulary word, the Latin suffixes and prefixes. It has all of it. So what students are going to do, this is the Technology Center. So what they're going to do is they are provided with a list of different vocabulary words that we have from the National Geographic book and also academic vocabulary sorted based on content. So what they're going to do is they're going to work through these lists with words they don't know. They are going to take the word and they're going to research it on their Chromebooks or their tablets. So here's an example of my Farmer's Almanac of vocabulary. So on the first page, there is a table of content. So I've completed 2 entries so far. I have drought and climate. On my drought page, I list the name of the word. I indicate the part of speech that I found online using an online dictionary or source. I included the definition, a sentence using the word, and I completed a word diagram. So in the word drought, DR actually means dry, and OUGHT means height, so it's heightened dryness. So the children will also look up or come up with their own way of remembering the word. So for drought and dry both start with the letter D, so sometimes they'll come up with these little tricks just to help them trigger that memory. They'll indicate the history of the word. They'll find, using reputable sources, the history of the word that they're using. So for drought, this word comes from the ancient Germanic root druig, which means a long period of abnormally low rainfall. Finally, and this is the main form of assessment, do you feel confident using this word? Yes or no. Children will assess themselves and think, do I really know this word? And if I need to go back and look for reference, I'll look that they've completed this page, and voila. My final center is called Let's Sow Our Seeds. This is the most important assessment of this entire center project. So what children are going to do is there is a die in the box. What they're going to do is they're going to roll this. I've rolled a 2. So in here, there are a list of writing prompts that are associated with each side of the die. So since I rolled a 2, I have to pick one slip from each of the following vocabulary seed packages: adverb, adjective, noun, and verb. Then I will write a short story using each of the following words. So in this center, there are 5 seed packages. This is where they're going to choose their vocabulary words. So I have included the academic vocabulary for 4th grade in the state of Tennessee. I have included nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. So for adverbs, if they have to draw a word from the adverb seed package, this is Velcro, so I can close and open it very easily. And they're going to draw one of the slips of paper. So I've drawn the word simply. And on the back of this, there is the word adverb so that children can easily sort them back into the packages and I don't have to go back and sort them all the time. And now I would use this word simply in whichever prompt that I've listed on my sheet. Now these range from poems, they're creative stories, they're informational passages. They can create whichever the prompt indicates. There's even one where they can choose any of the words they want and they can create any passage that they feel. So they can write a creative story or a poem or anything that their mind goes to. They have to pick 5 for that one. Now, since this is a vocabulary center, there are many different things that a teacher could do to modify. So the first thing is for my ELL students. One thing I could do, I could provide a classroom dictionary that has their first language that translates to English. I know when I was in Spanish class in high school, I had my own English to Spanish dictionary that I used and I could learn the definition in my own language. Also, there are many different online sources that teachers can use that are translators, or they can say the word aloud and learn the pronunciation, etc. For my gifted students, I have come up with a variety of higher level passages and vocabulary lists that the children can take vocabulary words from and still do these same activities, but they're getting words that push them higher. For children who are in special ed, what I have come up with are lists that already have definitions provided with the words, so they can use that as a source of reference. So if they're looking at our center about growing your vocabulary, yes, they'll look up the definition, but there'll also be another sheet that could help them not have to flip through 200 pages of a dictionary, or if they're coming up with research online, they can also reference that as a tool. But ultimately, I've enjoyed putting together the center, and I hope that you find help in it or that students in your class really enjoy it. So thank you.